We make the streams.
I did it.
All right.
Louder.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and we are prepping for Rocky Mountain Race Week with the Turbo K24 all-wheel drive frickin' Civic with a brand new giant turbo that I literally spent like a whole week putting that thing on there with. But so in the last video we went to the track and we basically got our NHRA license thing filled out with this thing, but we were still having issues getting it to launch correctly. Basically, it was launching fine. It was just cutting off the ECU, so we're going to try to figure out some of the wiring. And then the previous day when we were at the track, which was on Saturday, we actually broke that little shift fork thing, or the little shift selector, which is kind of a common issue on K-Series with dog boxes and you just shifting them really fast. They just basically break. So I got the upgraded one from Speed Factory on its way this morning. But now, when I was talking to them this morning, I asked him about my issue. He's like, well, you could have bent the shift selector. Dave's on his way over here right now, and I already told him the tranny was out of here, so we got like 20 minutes to pull this engine and tranny, which it's going to take a little bit longer than that. But we're going to pull apart this transmission. We're actually going to basically replace that, hopefully, if the one out of like this 6-speed, I think this is the TSX 6-speed, so if that one will work, we'll go ahead and put that one in that transmission. And then we're also going to put the 6th gear from the TSX in it so that we have a nice highway cruiser. And I think the final drive, because I think the final drives are a little bit different. So definitely going to be a little bit of work. It is Monday, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would like to try and get this thing basically figured out today or tomorrow, and then go to Bandamere for Wednesday night test and tunes. So you guys have seen us pull this engine and tranny out of here a bunch of times. We are going to be using the little vane engine stand, but I probably won't film too much of the whole process. Basically just going to rip this freaking thing out of here, and then we'll update you guys when the tranny's on the bench. Alright boys, so we got this thing out in pretty much record time for us. We weren't even really rushing, but it took us basically like an hour and 10 minutes. And now we have the transmission on the bench. David was over here taking some stuff out. Oh, I ordered get the upgraded detent pins too, so it'll feel a little bit better.
Check out spring too when you got it.
What spring?
There's a stronger spring that goes in here. Adds like 60% preload.
Ooh. How's it looking, Dave? Does it look like so what looks bent to you?
The thing on the bottom where that gear's touching, where it was rubbing through that hole, it's supposed to be, it like moves the reverse and fifth.
Yeah. I mean we don't have reverse and fifth, but we have this other tranny on the ground. That is the TSX 6-speed. So I think I'm gonna look up the final. Oh, Ty, can you look up the final drive ratios between a TSX and CRV? Because if we put the TSX final drive in it, and then we put the TSX 5th and 6th, then we might have a longer geared tranny that'll definitely help us out on this whole trip. So yeah, Dave's gonna yank this thing apart. I'm gonna watch him and learn, and then we'll see what it is. What do you think it is, Dave? You're pretty good at taking this tranny apart, though, right?
Man, I could build these things.
So I mean, if anybody needs a dog box K-Series put together and you're in Colorado, I know a guy. He even has his own transmission table, but he refuses to bring it over here.
Well, I mean, then I'd have to lift it. It's heavy.
I'll help you get it.
I'm gonna have my fixture table done soon. I can't wait.
Building a fixture table. Fixture table. Well, I'm actually not excited to open this thing back up. I wish we didn't have to, but might be for the better with the 5th and 6th. So we're gonna open this thing up, and then I'll let you guys know what we find out.
Hopefully stuff isn't too bad.
Yeah.
Where's a bigger one? Cut it with a plasma cutter.
They said that.
Really? Dude, imagine all the slag in that thing.
So we were just talking about how you guys, well, maybe not
Some
specifically you,
people-
but the internet knows everything. Literally, I posted a thing on the Sloppy Mechanics Facebook group, has like almost 700 comments on it about me cutting that hole in that turbine housing, and people just like feeds and speeds, and you should have lubed it, and like literally like all of those answers were in the first 10 comments, and then it's just everybody just like kept going and going and going. So we found some broken stuff in here. Dave, what is this thing?
So that's the for the 5th gear, 5th in reverse.
I mean,
just broke off the
little
teeth.
guys.
So what happens is a synchronizer ring sits in here, and when you select the gear, this goes up and down to select the gear between the synchronizer rings. And what it looks like happened was when that shift lever bent, it tried to put it in 2 gears at once, which caused it to break these.
Well, yeah. Look at, I mean, or I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely
It was probably
cracked.
when. It was probably when. Yeah.
But
when
it's
we were shifting
it's
it.
on each edge, so
Yeah.
it probably just caught it.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to engage.
Maybe I was just shifting it just too freaking
No,
fast.
but you've never shifted it hard into 5th like that.
Yeah.
Probably like when you were going to slam into 4th. Like you said, it pushed up both.
Well, so this thing right here. So this is the little shift selector thing that broke. Like I said, I have an upgraded one coming, but this is supposed to stay in. But if you look at this one in the bag right here, see how those things are like staggered and sticking out?
It did. Look at that. On the synchronizer ring.
Oh, because it tried to do.
It tried to grab it. Look at this shit. Look at that. It tried to grab it. You can see where it's bent.
Oh, yeah.
Or like where it caught.
So you think that's what it was?
Yeah, I think it tried to go into 2 gears at once, which that's when you pull a tranny apart, when you want to undo any bolts that are really tight, you just put it in 2 gears at once and it won't move.
Yeah. Or like a staging brake. And if David's wrong,
The internet will know.
yeah, you guys will tell us. Well, maybe it's
probably
on
on
the.
the-
This one's bent too, you said? This
Yeah, so
selector?
this is messed up too.
So one of the things that we had to do previously, because the first gear is taller, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we had to grind down a little piece of, where was that?
That was the actual lever. So this rod going here connects to this, but it goes really close to that gear down here.
Can you see it in
here,
there?
let's see the flashlight. See, you can see how close it is and where I grinded it.
Is it where you grinded it? Was it enough?
Yeah.
Did it do good?
It didn't rub or anything.
Oh, okay.
But what happened, I think, is this one, when it tried to go into 5th too,
Yeah. So you can
It
see
went all the way
it's
up.
actually
which is way too high.
it actually like touched it right there.
And then the spring was popped out too. I'll go back in. So
Yeah. So that's I mean, hopefully we caught all this stuff before the basically like $4,000 worth of gears in this thing went bye. So now what do? We're just gonna yank the TSX 6-speed stuff, yeah, and put it in here, and then we're gonna have a 6-speed.
good. Yeah, it should have all the stuff that we need. We need this and all the synchronizer rings. Which it also did something weird to this right here.
So this is where.
This is like, instead of 6 gear, this kind of just holds everything together. It kind of just did some weird, I don't know.
Yeah, like that little tab right there got broken.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So the bearing just kind of sits in there. So maybe it just had some weird stuff going
And maybe
on.
it was kind of rocking a little bit or something too.
I mean, it's probably a pretty good shock when it happened.
I mean, I feel a little weird thing in my tummy every time I shift this thing, like just because you're not supposed to be doing that and you just freaking do and it works. But I feel bad for this tranny right here.
Well, if you look at it, the rest of it, I mean, the dog ears all look great.
Yeah, all the gears look fine. It doesn't look like anything is wearing weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's taking it.
Yeah, I think she's enjoying it. So we're gonna look up the ratios. I'm not sure what ratio is the taller ratio between the TSX and the CRV, but we're gonna double check that and see what final drive we're actually gonna put in here with the 6-speed. Go from there.
got it 6th press on there.
Yep, 6th, the washer and the bearing. So she's ready to go now.
Don't forget the washer.
Yeah, don't forget the washer. You'll have a loose. Or
You'd have a loose,
not loose. I'll just be all misaligned.
loosey goosey.
Yeah, you don't want that. So, and then you just have to use the 6 selector from the TSX trans.
Yeah, which is nicer because it's a 2-piece. See? Hey, what are you doing?
What? I was moving. I was gonna pull this out so we could see if there's any.
There aren't any pieces.
Don't. It takes 2 seconds to pull it out.
Pull it out. Let's see.
Pull it out.
Let's see.
See if there's
That's
any.
not how you pull it out. So
Oh, how do you pull it out?
grab it. Like this.
Oh.
Get him, David.
Oh, Dave, look at those bits right there.
What bits?
Look at those bits right there.
Oh, you have to change out the speed sensor spacer too.
Why?
On it, because that's what it said. I don't know.
You're not
The
changing
TSX
that.
We're
Though.
not changing.
Oh, are you sure?
We're
I
not
don't
changing
know.
it.
It said in your instructions that David
Are those-
refused to
Are
read.
those bits? No, that's just.
Look,
Get a magnet.
you know what that was?
That's just probably a little
That's
bit of the
RTV.
wind. Yeah. Horn detect, guys.
I have another.
These were the days before YouTube.
They don't have any brake
This is how we learned to build cars, huh, Trevor? Before Facebook groups.
That's not how I learned that.
David was the biggest forum guy in the world.
I was on.
NoCo, huh, Dave?
I was on a few forums and I made a few like
Write-ups.
write-ups. I
Dave
did
was-
I did the first DSM have delete your ABS and people were so mad about it.
The
You're
first.
like-
You guys heard it first.
You're
Dave
like,
was the first.
You can't delete ABS in a first gen DSM. Like,
And then you did it.
oh,
No,
this is like
but-
empty.
If you guys Google like forums or
They're like,
there's a lot of ancient information that's.
yeah,
It needs
no.
to be saved.
No, we gotta
Here's
save the
good stuff.
forums.
Now you just have
Hashtags.
to deal with shitty Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Nobody knows anything on those.
And everyone posts the same. Like if people posted the same
just
question
like-
as many times they do in groups in forums, they would have gotten roasted in forums.
Well, people still get mad because they don't search. But you're like, man, if there was actually a good place to search,
Yeah.
and if there was actually good information.
If there was like threads, like there were on forums, but there's
like
not.
for sale threads, so you could actually find stuff.
Yeah. And questions, like people answering like questions about the for sale, like they would post it publicly. It would solve half the issues of like the community.
If Facebook would just like go up in flames, would
Yeah.
everybody be happier?
Yeah, so we're gonna pop this bad boy in. Do you have to do anything with the counter shaft or no?
No, just have to put the gears. They all slide on.
Okay. All right. Dave's gonna hammer it back together, and then we're gonna put it back in. And then Trevor's got the clutch apart a little bit. What do you think, Trev, about these here? Looks like it got a little bit warm, but I mean that's got hundreds of passes on it probably.
No, I mean not hundreds.
Well,
It's
pulls.
got about 100 and some pulls at least.
Pulls, like full power pulls. And you were on one of them clutch eater dynos that they say.
I was on a clutch eater dyno. I mean, it's made tons
Let's
of.
put it this way: it's a triple disc clutch. There's no
Twin.
way to dissipate the heat in between clutch discs.
Yeah.
You go. Watch out.
I did it.
Okay, Dora.
I did it.
The Explorer.
Does that look good? Does it look like? Is that 6th gear now?
I mean, it's 6 something. 6 o'clock somewhere.
Damn it, I'm gonna have to cut this out now.
Why?
I don't edit my videos, Dave.
Ty does.
No.
I know, he doesn't have no more.
Well, I just.
Let me see if I can get one. Ready? Ready? It's coming! Oh! Oh, that one's actually not bad.
It's not too bad.
Is that it?
That's how you turn your dog box into a 6-speed there, boys. Right there, Dave.
Yeah, Trev, how you turn your dog box in a 6-speed?
And then, so then you just had to grind this reverse selector down a little bit.
Not if you have stock gears.
Just on the dogs.
Yeah.
Did you already grind it down, or
Yeah.
do we need to?
No, he did it. We said it a minute ago.
Will you help me go grab Saddam's
Oh, look at that! It spins.
car out?
Saddam's car from the
Getting
storage.
shipped, getting kicked out.
That's pretty much it. Dave got it all back together. That's what it is. Just gonna go around and give it a kind of a final torque on everything on the case.
Good and tight.
Good and tight, huh?
I mean,
Dr-
I'm pretty big, so it's like probably
That's probably enough torque.
75.
Yeah, it's probably more than it needs to be. But so it's pretty much it. She's all ready to go. I did.
I mean, we'll see.
I mean, we've had this apart and still never put an LSD in it.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been a good option this time around.
Yeah. According to Trevor, though, it doesn't need it. It runs great. So now we have a 6-speed dog box. So hopefully that'll help a lot with race week and all that.
It won't help with bending shift forks and put it in 2 gears.
No. So is that other one, was it actually bent when you pulled it out?
The shift fork wasn't, but that selector was.
Yeah.
Definitely bent.
Yeah, so like I said, we have the upgraded Speed Factory selector piece coming. So hopefully that'll help alleviate that from bending and breaking and doing all that. But went through, cleaned it all out, make sure there's no pieces and parts. It should be ready to rip. So
Should be ready for something.
that's for sure.
Hi guys, so I got the transmission and everything all back together yesterday. So that thing should be ready to go. RTV is all set up on it. Just need to install like the little plug right here and then the little shifter thing on the top. So I went ahead and pulled off the clutch to kind of inspect it, and everything looks good, nothing's cracked. I mean, it is definitely has some heat in it, which I mean would make sense after probably 50 dyno pulls and probably like 50 track hits and however many hits on the street. So I think it's doing all right. So now we have the TSX 6 gear in it. We have the little shift fork and all that other stuff kind of fixed. So I think we should be good to go there. So one of the things I'm doing right now is actually going over a lot of stuff in the engine bay, kind of cleaning up a little bit of the brake lines, actually kind of mounting stuff a little bit better than it was, putting a little bit of heat sleeve on these fuel lines over here. Obviously the turbo stuff is right here. Put some heat liner on the shifter cables, and then re-loomed some wiring. I had some wires kind of coming out of this little hole right here, and so change that up, and then move the wideband plug over here since the O2 sensor is actually over here now. So yeah, basically cleaning up some stuff. Gonna delete this hole. Gonna clean up this wiring right here, figure out a better place to move some of that stuff, and overall just kind of cleaning it up and getting it ready for 6 hours of runtime straight versus basically between 30 minutes on the street or like maybe 5-10 minutes at the track of it just running. So there's just a lot more heat that kind of builds up on stuff when you're cruising down the highway, towing a trailer, driving 100 degrees during the day in freaking mountain roads, doing stuff like that. So just trying to get it ready for this thing, trying to prepare, try to make sure everything's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this clutch on here now, and we're gonna get the transmission back installed on there. Once we do that, I'm actually gonna roll this thing back, take the seats and stuff out of it, and kind of clean up some more wiring on the inside of it. But yeah, lots of little things. But again, it's just Rocky Mountain Race Week prep. Gotta make sure this thing's dialed and ready to drive. And again, still just trying to figure out what my other wiring issue is, but I think we're just gonna bypass some more stuff and just give like ECU full power, off like an actual relay, going straight to the battery with a switch versus letting that have one of those cheaper swap integration harnesses in here. So we're just gonna kind of bypass that thing altogether and run kind of like race car wiring on it and go from there. Okay guys, so got the engine and tranny mated back up together, and you can see I went ahead and installed this this scatter shield right here. I guess when these, let's say your clutch or your pressure plate or your flywheel or whatever disconnected from the crank, and freaking it would saw a hole in here and it would go shooting out the front. I guess they normally go out front just because the way these things rotate. And there's a bunch of transfer case gears and stuff back here. But yeah, so I did end up having to modify it. I don't think that they make these things kind of designed, because normally there's not a bolt on anything right here, so I kind of had to modify that a little bit, kind of move it over just because of that. And then that bolt was kind of sitting in there once we bolted this stuff on right here. One bad thing is my IAT sensor is actually really close right here, so I think I might have to end up relocating that, which kind of sucks. And we actually found out a little bit of bad news about this this block, which is that it now has a little bit of a crack in it right there. Little bitty crack right there. Probably see it better now. But anyhow, it is a common thing on all-wheel drive stuff where you have this little rear T bracket, because it's only basically right here and right here, and that's just a lot of torque, and this thing just trying to twist back and put a lot of that stress into that back mount right there. And I don't think we would have had that issue because we have that torque plate in the front that actually bolts up to the front bottom of this, so that kind of alleviates a little bit of that. But at the last event, if you've seen where that guy ran up to me and was like, hey, there's this tranny bolt, this bolt was actually loose. Or actually, not this one. It was the one right here, because I had this top piece of this thing in, and since I was in the car, I wasn't really paying attention to it, and it actually wasn't completely tight up against it. So that bolt came out, and then the starter bolt right here came out, and I think, you know, maybe it was just a little bit loose, and then it was just putting a little bit more, you know, a little bit more stress on that other stuff. If you do a scatter shield, you're gonna have to modify it a little bit. I'm trying to think what else we got. We got some goodies right here. So next video you guys are gonna see, or you know, in the next coming days, is I'm actually gonna install this. This is a Deechworks, basically a 2-stage surge tank. So part of the reason for that is a little bit of longevity for the pumps. You know, especially on this road trip, external pumps don't have that fuel. They're not sitting in fuel to kind of cool them. And so what we're gonna do is, you know, especially when they're running really, really hard, and one of the things that I don't like about, you know, the way that the fuel setup is in here right now is it gets all its fuel from the back. But if you're under like a half a tank, if you hit the brakes really hard, you could just hear the pumps get really loud. They go, you know, because they're sucking, because there's no fuel in there, which isn't too big of a deal drag racing. But since we are going to be driving this thing on the street, you know, towing up and down hills and doing all that type of stuff, you know, we decided that this was the right move to do with the surge tank. And that means I could also run the fuel system a lot lower without having the risk of actually losing fuel pressure or doing anything like that at the track. So we're going to put 2 DW intake 400s in here, and obviously stage them and basically have one running all the time, and then have the second one come in probably like when I do like a certain, we'll basically build a PID table. It's basically a parameter output table that you say, once this happens and this happens, then do this on an output. And that's how we'll set that up with the ECU. But we'll go more into that in the future. But I think we're kind of figuring out some more stuff with the wiring. We're gonna swap ECUs and
Relays.
we're gonna do some relays. We're gonna do a bunch of other little stuff. Lots of things. Gonna try to go daily on the videos during Rocky Mountain Race Week, and then also try to do daily videos on the days leading up to Rocky Mountain Race Week. So appreciate you guys watching. Frickin' see you later.